Refuse Films and Troma Entertainment presents the Troma Archive Collection on Blu-ray. Series 1 of the Troma Archive Collection includes The Toxic Avenger, Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD, and the world Blu-ray premiere of Trey Parker's Cannibal the Musical. Refuse Films has been granted access all areas in the Troma Film Archives in New York City, unarchiving previously unreleased materials from the darkest depths of the Troma vaults. The Troma Archive Collection Blu-ray sublabel brings you alternate cuts, unseen footage, rare interviews, and a host of traumatic special features. Sourcing and remastering materials across all formats for newly scanned 35mm and 16mm restorations to Digibeta, Betacam, and U-Matic tapes. Each Troma Archive Collection Blu-ray release is limited to only 3,000 units per title. Pre-order the Troma Archive Collection on Blu-ray right now, exclusively from refusefilms.com.
Loudspeaker Studios.
Tromaville, news on the march.
Good morning, Tromaville, and welcome to a very special episode of Talkin Troma with your host, me, Zach Bynes. I'm glad you all could join me today, and if you were in the Bug Theater on Friday, May 17th, 2024, or you have a time machine to go back to Friday, May 17th, 2024, for this very special recording of Talkin Troma. The Colorado Festival of Horror and Talkin Troma teamed up to bring legendary filmmaker Charles Kaufman to Colorado to speak about his film Mother's Day. Also to talk a little bit about, what it's like with Lloyd Kaufman as a brother. Maybe talk a little bit about Jakarta, When Nature Calls, and just all around have a good time and a good discussion. I want to thank Loudspeaker Studios and the Colorado Festival of Horror and the Bug Theater for putting this all on. Let's just jump right into this interview. So, let's listen. How was it growing up in the Kaufman household? Was your mom very humorous? Did she appreciate Mother's Day?
My mother thought whatever I did was absolutely brilliant. That there was no, she didn't think I was very smart. But what I did, but actually one of the intents. This was made in '79, and the only other I kind of tried to get a sense of what might be successful. And really the horror film, there hadn't been horror films done for probably 10, 15 years. And Halloween was made about 6 months before I saw that, and got a sense that maybe there's a horror film cycle about to begin again. I don't think I could do anything that is not funny. And I think that comedy and horror goes together very well. There are certain things that don't, like sex and horror. I don't think that works so well, but comedy and horror, it's relief. And I took a chance. I think this was the first horror film with comedy, I think, that I know of. One other thing which you may also know is that this, in the time when this was shot in a little town in New Jersey, and in the next little town over, Friday the 13th was being shot. So these little towns, all of a sudden, they had this blood and guts and whatever when they'd had nothing before. So it was, yeah.
Was there crossover from any cast or crew from
Definitely.
Friday the 13th?
There would be a diner there that people would meet and talk and that kind of thing. It was interesting. Yeah.
So Queenie probably ate with Jason's mom.
I think that's probably, yeah. They might have. Yep.
I've heard you say that with Mother's Day, some of your influences were Halloween and Carrie and Deliverance. Yes. But what were some of the comedy influences that you've had?
Oh boy, I mean the Marx, the Marx Brothers certainly, and Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner was huge on the 2,000-Year-Old Man. when I was very young. I loved the Ernie Kovacs show, which I don't think any of you all know. Yeah. It was very weird and different. And I was the middle child. Lloyd was the brains. Lloyd went to Yale and got the great grades and that kind of thing. And I was almost as cute then as I am now, not quite. So I kind of had to make my way in the family as the one with a sense of humor and also adorable, which I continue to this day, as I think you all. Thank you very much. My wife, unfortunately, isn't applauding back there, but thank you all. That's all. So I think, So I basically had to be funny and like to be funny.
Well, was there any autobiographical parts of having, in Mother's Day with an overbearing mother and two brothers that'll
no connection at all? Not at all. How dare you, Lloyd? I gotta get Lloyd. No, there is definitely a sense of a strong mom. My mom was very strong. Also, let me just mention there were two things I really thought were important, three or four things about this. One was that we make a statement, and not just one statement, I think, but two. And although I've gotten a lot of pushback and boos and whatever from this, but this was at the beginning of the feminist movement. And it was very important for Warren Light, who actually has gone on and had a very respectable career and was the head of the Writers Guild and wrote a whole bunch of other kind of interesting things. But Warren and I wanted, first of all, for the stars, for the strength of this film to be women, and it was very important that the weak become strong and the strong became weak, and I think that kind of happens here. And I also, important to me, I wanted to see if, I think one of the interesting things, if I could be so not humble, so what's the opposite for humble? If I can be an asshole for a moment.
Perfect.
Is that I wanted you to feel for the girls, but then have them attacked, and then begin to kind of affectionately feel for the two guys as well, right? I think they I haven't seen this for a while, but I think you kind of love them a little bit, right? They're lovable in which then how do you square with your brain that here these lovable guys who wrestle with themselves and are kind of disco punk, and they seem to enjoy themselves and love themselves and love each other, yet they do such horrible things. The third thing was important to us, and don't worry, I'll allow some time for you to ask me a question. Thank you. Was that it was interesting to me at the time, the culture, the TV culture, the kind of the what's that, mass,
like consumer culture.
Yeah, consumer culture. And that this woman, the mom, thought, okay, I'm going to take the best of consumer culture. I'm going to get my kids, who I love very, very much, out of the city, but they're not going to they don't want to be called backwoodsmen. So
they're cityfied.
They're exactly, they're cityfied. And it was very important for the mother to instill them with commercials and all this kind of strum and drum that we have, and all this white noise from TVs and all that stuff, and to give the kids the advantage of all of that, or what she thought was advantage.
Well, and I think you also see that quite a bit around the house. There's, the Big Bird alarm clock and the dinosaur sheets and product placement everywhere.
Very smart, absolutely.
Very smart. Another smart woman of the Kaufman clan did the art decoration, right?
Yes. Wow, you're good. My sister has 2 master's degrees in American art, and I couldn't afford anyone to do the art direction on this, and she was working at the Whitney in New York as assisting the curator, and I forced her to do this. this
You have to
shite.
drag her out there in a
I had
sleeping
to
bag.
drag her. I didn't get paid. Didn't get paid a thing. But all the there were so many things, and she's totally meticulous. And when Adley is being suffocated, it's important to realize she was very particular and wanted women's monthly pads to be suffocating him, and there are just a lot of little touches. The breast pillow that the mother was suffocated with a breast was and she took that was that whole house was as you may know was vacant when we basically put everybody at a YMCA camp. We had to shoot this in a month. Cost about $105,000, which I'm pissed off about still, because we could have done it for $90,000. But okay. But all right, forget about that. And she basically propped the whole. She tore all things out, and she found pieces of actually arms and legs, believe it or not, in the house when she was emptying the place. So we knew we'd found the right location. And then all that stuff is propped and picked by her. The Muscle magazine stuff and all the. Yeah.
So the rumors of finding a body in the house are true.
Yeah. We didn't find a whole body. We didn't open the door and there was, a dead body. Yeah. But we found different pieces, which was
head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Yeah.
Do you know where I can find the booby pillow? And mention the name. Can I get a discount? Or
Actually, that is an interesting question. I will look for that. I still have the ear. The Queenie's ear that I took as kind of the bull's horn for having been the matador that survived the match. So, but I still have the ear. But
I heard that you guys were worried about, because it was an abandoned house, about people coming in, breaking into the hot set. So you had production assistants camping out in the middle of the Jersey woods.
That is totally true. Boy, you were. That house looked as bad as you saw it. It was so run down, and there was actually a mattress that we left in there that had been. But our production assistants, we made them sleep in the house because we were scared that. Yeah, no, it was pretty. Yeah. I think Lloyd was involved. Lloyd wanted to sleep in that house, and I said no. He'd have to pay for it.
He made us sleep in the abandoned McDonald's restaurant on Poultry, guys. So I'm sure.
Is that true?
Yeah. So I'm sure sleeping in an abandoned New Jersey house is right up his alley.
Yes. Yep.
I also heard that there was snakes were quite a problem on set.
Yes, this was in the Pine Barrens of New Jersey that we shot a large part of this, and there were definitely we'd have to clear with the walking through the woods and all of that stuff. There were production assistants we didn't like, and we had them clear the snakes and beforehand. Chum, I think we called them, and that was a constant thing. And it was kind of toward the end of the summer too, when the snakes were out basking in the sun and that kind of thing. Yep. But no one was bit by the snakes.
Just people getting stuck with thorn bushes.
That's it. Yeah. Yes.
The casting in the film is interesting because there was a last minute change to the leading ladies.
You are right. Well, first of all, the woman that played the mother was, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Car 54. Car 54. Where are you? Yep. She was, I think, the wife of Tootie or Muldoon in that. But she saw herself as a Shakespearean actress. I don't think she ever really read the script. And that was the only reason why we were able to get her. And one of my favorite, just one side thing. Yeah. And she I thought was great. She does it. Actually, I was surprised. I haven't seen the film in quite some time, but I thought the acting was really quite good for horror film, especially for. But the best thing, one of the most interesting things was Adley the actor was much like the character, and extremely energetic, and he would get drunk and run around and just be, and one of the final scenes, the scenes where Adley and her, where he tells her about Queenie, and that she was shot, and they're in the basement there, and it's just Adley and Mother, and it was very hot that day, and it was the first thing we shot, and Adley was there. He wasn't looking great, but 3 or 4 minutes into the scene, he had to deliver a line, and he had a lot to drink and threw up on Beatrice Pons, on the mother. And I think that may have been the first time she realized she was not doing Shakespeare in the Park. This may be a different ilk. This was not Pabst Macbeth in the Park. This was
McCormick in the basement.
This was McCormick. Yeah, McPuke in the basement. Yeah. But she was a piece of work. She was great. She was great, but had no idea what kind of a film it was. What was interesting, Trina, the tall blonde, and Ike, who was with the fake teeth and all that. Yeah, exactly. The eye, which was an interesting thing to find. It was a great touch that our wardrobe person, makeup person had. But they had a hot relationship. They were really romantically involved. Yeah. So and I suspect that why it lasted so long, because they could get out the hostility in the relationship in the film, but I think it really helped the relationship in the film.
So you were supportive of their relationship during filming, or did you try to keep them?
No, as long as their performances were good. I think they were. I think it worked. I guess I would. I mean, not that they would necessarily have listened to me, but
no.
no.
I know the film is gotten hugely popular with Eli Roth. There's a remake from Darren Lynn Bousman. Have you watched the remake?
I've tried to watch the remake. I'm not a big fan of that. But one fast kind of amusing story about Eli Roth. And then I'd like to know what you guys think of the remake, if anybody's seen it. But Roth told me when I met him, he could not have been nicer, and said that this was one of the first films that he loved, and that when he had his bar mitzvah and his family, I don't know if you know about this or not. Yeah, you might. And his parents said, "Well, what do you want? Let's show a film, or let's have some sort of event." And Roth, do you know about this?
Yeah.
And Roth decided to show this film at his bar mitzvah, which is hysterical. And what do you think of Mother's Day 2?
You know what? The distribution on that movie was so rough. I've honestly never even found a copy of it to watch. I've found copies of Jakarta easier than the Mother's Day remake. I did see in an interview.
Hold it. Has anyone here seen Mother's Day 2?
The Mother's Day remake? No. No hands have gone up on
no
that.
hands at all. Okay.
So the jury's out on that one.
It's not. I mean, it's not very good, and it's yeah. All right. Okay. Sorry, I probably should promote it a bit, but I don't.
Well, I did hear from you in another interview where you said that if the financing was there, you would make a Mother's Day 2, but it would have to be a musical.
Yes.
How far into any of the process has that gone, or have you had any song and dance ideas for it?
I have not. Years ago I had an idea too about it, but have not. And I don't know. I don't think now. I think there's so many horror films with CGI and all that kind of thing. I would be interested in what you think of. I mean, how this film dates now. How does it, right, with all the effects that they have, and
I
horror
personally
films.
like the hands getting sliced open. That's absolutely brutal. Like you can't copy that with CGI. That's disturbing.
But this film would not something like this. Now I think there've been so many horror films, and I'd only do it if the angle was an interesting angle. I think they've done basically
Like
everything
Dutch angle, maybe.
or something. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, but I don't know.
I do want to kind of rewind a bit into your filmography. You also helped write your brother's film Squeeze Play. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
About
Just writing, working with your brother on a script, and how did that go?
Well, I thought it was peculiar because he made me sleep in a McDonald's as well while I was writing it. And that had nothing to do with the film at all. So I don't understand. This may be part of the. We got a lot. Lloyd shot one of my early films. Lloyd and I seems to find me amusing. So I actually with Squeeze Play, I was if you know what a hyphenate is, right? Like a producer, director, or a writer, producer. I was one of the few hyphenates that existed then. I was a writer / boom man. True. So I was in charge of all the words. I rewrote it, and then it came through what I was recording. You know what? And
You also have one of the most infamous shots in the movie with some popcorn.
I don't remember that.
Shooting some popcorn out
really?
your
Out
nose.
of my nose?
Yeah.
There you go.
So watch the movie again. You'll
Thank
see
you.
shooting some popcorn out your
Trying to
nose.
class my act up here.
It's a gluten-free popcorn. And I know you did a few other Troma films, or films that were put out by Troma. When Nature Calls, which is absolutely hilarious.
Wow.
It's like if Mad Magazine and Kentucky Fried Movie was like one thing. Can you tell us a little bit about When Nature Calls?
It is basically the idea there was if you know the film Airplane, which is a spoof on all those airport pictures, and we decided to do a spoof on the nature films that were being made then, like Gentle Ben and all that stuff. And I had the brilliant idea of what could make the film more, especially if you're going with a low budget film, to have the film mostly with animals and kids. What the hell was I thinking? It was a blast to make because for me it was a little depressing to go to work every day and figure out, okay, what angle am I gonna get the axe in the crotch? Is it gonna be from here or here? It's not but a comedy was a lot of fun, and I think the film's no, I think it's funny. It's
hilarious.
Weird. It's yeah.
If you haven't seen it, it's on Troma now, and it's absolutely hilarious. There's
thank you.
Plenty of fake movie trailers, such as
Yes, that actually I'm proud of. Yeah.
Baby Bullets, which is a fast driving baby carriage,
action baby carriage, 3-month-old kid who's a speed driver. Yeah.
And raging bullshit.
Right. So it's a spoof of well, you can imagine, and yeah.
The humor also crossed over into another Troma film that you made, Ferocious Female Freedom Fighters.
Yes. You want to explain what that is? Because I still don't know.
Well, as best as I can do. So, from what I understand is Troma got the rights to Indonesian women's wrestling action movie, and the movie is not great. So you were brought in to zhuzh it up, and you redubbed the entire movie. And yeah, tell us about the redubbing of.
Yeah, it was interesting. We redubbed the entire film. I wrote a whole other script about what it was about. And of course, it had nothing to do with what the original film film was
there was
about.
like women wrestlers who were trying to save their younger brother whose semen vesicles were turned upside down to his brain, and his head would explode every time he would watch women's
That's good.
wrestling.
You actually made sense out of the plot. First time ever.
What's up, Tiger Lily?
Yes, exactly. That is exactly right. There was another film that Woody Allen had done called "What's Up, Tiger Lily," and that was made before. But this was, no, that's exactly right. That's exactly the idea behind it.
That movie is hilarious.
Wow,
And
thank you.
Did that movie help you get into the voice directing and writing in the animation?
A little bit, but generally they were not impressed because it was kind of a filthy move.
Just a little bit.
But I just did that as a side. I used to also gag write for one of my first jobs. Was I wrote gags for Bob Hope. You kids don't remember. Well, Bob Hope gets applause. But I did it back in the Vietnam years. When if you said you were working, I did not tell people when I lived out in L.A. that I was working for Bob Hope because he was so pro the war, and everybody at that time, the hip people, were against the war. So I didn't really bask in that, but then from there I got a few gigs writing.
And some writing some cartoons that definitely were big for a lot of people's childhoods here, such as the Ghostbusters. You're probably one of the only people who have written for the Filmation Ghostbusters and the real Ghostbusters.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I
don't remember a lot about it.
Brave Star and Dennis the Menace.
Yeah.
I was going to ask with Dennis the Menace, how many anecdotes from your childhood ended up on the screen of that?
well, my middle name is Dennis, so there was a lot. Not a lot. They kind of tell you what the plot line will be. It's not a lot. You just do what they say, but and try to make it funny. And then if it is funny, they cut it out. So it's not that.
Like, yeah.
What are they? There was in grad school. I went to film grad school for a little while, and one of the great lines, which you may know, I think, what's his name? The guy that wrote MASH came to speak to us, and someone from the class raised their hands and asked, "Is it true that writers get abused in Hollywood? Is that true? Do you know this?"
I imagine, suicide is painless. So.
And he said, so the question was, do the Hollywood writers get abused? And his answer was, yes, but only if they're lucky. Which is basically it, right? If you're getting abused, that means you're hired. And so you're lucky. But
you made another film, which is absolutely incredible, but incredibly hard to find, called Jakarta, which was shot in Indonesia, and the action scenes I feel are parallel to Jackie Chan's Police Story.
Wow, thank you.
And it's bonkers and batshit crazy, like what you did in that film. Could you talk a bit about Jakarta?
This is one of the only jobs I was hired for in my life, as you can see the reason for that. When I was 14 years old, I was hired to pick up golf balls at a driving range. That was the first job I ever got. And the second job I got was to write and direct a film called Jakarta, which was made over in Jakarta. And I was told by the producer that I asked him how long it would take, as action film. And he said, a month and a half or so. It took a year and a half. When I arrived there, I think I mentioned this to you, they had never shot a film, a moving camera before. The films had always been on sticks. Had always been static shots. And into that, I wrote up car chases, explosions, whole town gets destroyed. And it was a fantastic experience. And I learned to speak Indonesian fairly well, or I would still be over there now trying to complete the film, I'm sure. But it was a good film. It starred Chris Noth in his first film, and I was not groped by him. I begged, but he would not.
You didn't get to find out why they call him Mr. Big, right?
No, that's right. Chris apparently had the standards, and we sold it here to what was a kind of a flashy, big budgeted distributor here who promised to distribute it, and then we sold it to them, and they went out of business. So I think I've been trying to track the rights down, but I think for what we did, I think that without CGI, this was before that. The stunts it wasn't really before, but I was too cheap to do it. But the stunts we have in it are great. I can talk for a second about.
I would love to hear about the stunts, because the car chases in this thing and the danger that these stunt guys look they're going through is bonkers.
There are no more courageous folks in this world than Indonesian stuntmen and women, which I didn't know when I arrived. Just a fast story, but there's a scene where there is a motorcycle gang, a group of about five or six motorcycle guys, and they hit the side of a taxi, and they all roll over the taxi. And so I met with a stunt guy and met with a cameraman. In the United States, we'd break down the shots, and you'd have a picture of the wheel that hits the taxi, and then you'd have someone roll through frame, and then you'd have them land on the ground, and so we began. The first shot was the stuntmen going full speed at the taxi, and I said, okay, action, and full speed, and they hit the taxi, and they go over the thing. They're like four guys lying there dead, stunt guys. I said, wait a second, hold it. That is not your stunt people. This is not. So I then had to say, okay, let's back up. We had to dissect every little stunt we did, because if not, they would have killed every one of the stunt people. But we have climbing up these scaffolding, a fight going on 15 stories. They're bamboo scaffolding, and they wanted to actually have that being done up there. And I said, no. So we built the scaffolding that looked like it was up in the but no one died. I just want to know. Just want you to know.
And sadly, it sounds like the rights are still up in the air. But I hope that we could track them down, because it would definitely live a much healthier second life on Blu-ray.
Well, except I don't know, again, because there's such amazing things that are done in action films now. I don't know if is there a difference? You guys get a sense of the difference between real stunts or not? I don't know.
As a jaded moviegoer, I was breathless in those stunt scenes. It's a lot of fun. If you guys get a chance to track it down somewhere, like it's on VHS. So please, and I think that MGM has it now or something. But to get something freed up from a major by someone like me, I think is very tough to do.
Hey friends, producer Chris here, just stepping in to let you know that this show, as well as all of the shows available on Loudspeaker, are listener supported. What that means to you is that rather than go to corporate sponsors and advertisers who are trying to sell you crap you don't need, we go straight to you. We go to the audience, and our audience helps us do what we do. The way you do that is by making a tax-deductible contribution to Loudspeaker. Go to loudspeaker.org and click on the support button. You can give one time or you can give every month. It's entirely up to you, and we thank you so much for your support. Every little dollar helps us keep the lights on and tell more interesting stories like the one you're hearing right now. Thanks again for listening. Now let's get back to the show.
I do want to rewind a little bit, actually quite a bit, to you cutting your teeth on a film called The Secret Life of Mona Q. Can you tell us a little bit about that film and maybe lessons you've learned from that going forward to your other productions?
Well, first, let me try to avoid that question as long as possible, and tell you that when Mother's Day, I'd made a few little films before and worked on some of Lloyd's films, but I figured I could raise about $100,000, and the choice, and at that time, I knew there were only three types of films to make. I wasn't really into horror films. I knew a bit about them. But I also think that helped the film because I didn't come at it with a lot of preconceived ideas.
Yeah.
And so I think I thought I could put comedy in it and have villains that were likable or something.
Yeah.
So I knew there were three types of films. I did it. I wanted to make a commercial film. I knew I wasn't talented enough to make an art film. Or didn't think the chances of success of an art film were I think, very, very small. An X-rated film, as a Jewish male, you don't know that's not your wheelhouse. The sex part. Again, my wife will. No, sorry. And the third would be a horror film because that, if it has kind of a grainy look about it, that helps it, which is an interesting thing I went through because they did a 4K of this, and did I really want it to look that clear and clean and whatever? I think it may actually hurt the film, but I don't know.
I'm up in the air. I like seeing the clearness, but I also love the gritty griminess.
Yeah, right. So what would you do?
I'd go in the middle and just watch it on a film reel.
Yeah. No, first I was at grad school. I didn't want to be at grad school and film because basically all it was is being political with the guys that gave out the film equipment. And I think film grad school basically, well, two things: it teaches you how to teach, and two, maybe you make connections that can be helpful. So instead of that, I went to UCLA and dropped out and decided to make a film in New York and pieced together $40,000 and made an X-rated film. That was kind of different and unique.
Well,
and did well.
Well, and it also different time with Deep Throat and all that coming out. So it's not like you're just making a porn movie. It actually taught you the steps of filmmaking.
Yes, that is right. I took that as an advantage, as a way to learn about making films, and it worked. I mean, the script I think is interesting. I mean, it still has a lot of sex in it, but
hopefully,
but there are with all different. I had a musical number in the woods. I had I think I may be the first person that had a transsexual female who was a penis. What is that? Is that the right term?
Transgender, but yes.
Okay. There were a number of things that I tried that just to experiment with, and so I learned a lot from that, and I learned a lot from Lloyd's films as well. Working on those.
Nice. I have a couple more before I open it up to for a few on the floor. What are some of your favorite movies that Lloyd has made?
Right. Well, I think his most recent film, Shitstorm, is I think it's his best. I like any film that Lloyd acts in too. I think he's a good actor. I like to see him on screen. I think those. Yeah. No, I don't.
And actors.
What are yours?
My favorite of his is the Toxic Avenger.
Yeah.
But I will always have a soft spot for Poultry Guys living on that movie. And,
yes.
And actually, Waitress, which you also worked on. The humor in that is so funny.
Yeah. Poultry Guys, I like that he again was making a statement too. He makes a statement in his films. And it was very sad that, as you all know, Roger Corman, who was a great guy, terrific guy, really sweet guy, that he passed away, changed a lot of lives. Lloyd's amongst them. Was nice to me. Had no reason to be, but
I've heard he was nothing but nice to everybody.
Yeah, very cool.
And before I open it up, what I've been dying to know is what makes the world's best cinnamon roll.
I leave that up to you. I am. What is it called when a judge takes them out?
Impartial.
I'm a part, or takes them out of the. It just says because I'm involved with this. I refuse to.
Well, I will have to say I've had bread and cheese cinnamon rolls when I was at Comic-Con, and you do make the best cinnamon rolls.
Thank you.
So
between the films I make and the I won't put you in that position.
the wry sense of humor.
We do. I own a bakery called Bread and C, which stands for Compagnie in French, out in San Diego. And the fact that you guys have all survived the film, and me, you're all invited. There's a croissant and a double espresso waiting for each and every one of you, except for Eric McCluskey, who was. Well, thank you. You like the banana bread? Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. It's Eric who did it.
All right. So I think we have time for a couple questions, and then you'll be doing a little bit of signing and stuff. So I'm gonna go hop on the wireless and run around here. But yeah.
Is there a reason why there are 4 knives in front of me? Is this to provoke good answers from, or what? Oh, thank you. All right, who's got a question? That'll be good. Freaking good. Also, if someone could answer a question for me, what is the similarity between making horror films and baking bread and pastries? I would like someone to. Why did I go from making films to?
Why did you?
I don't know. I don't know. I want an answer.
You wait for both to rise.
Oh, man.
The wry sense of humor over there.
Oh, man. That's a crummy thing to.
Give us all a yeast infection.
My God.
Stop hollering back there. I got a question up here.
Oh, and let me just say that if you think you can outpun me in bread, my advice would be bag it. Thank you. All right, sorry.
All right, we have a question right over here.
So I am closer to the mic. Okay. Can we hear me now? Yep. All right, cool. I can smell this film.
Wow.
And like when it's so gritty and grimy and gross and just kind of like, did the set stink?
You did. The house definitely stunk.
Mm-hmm.
The house stunk, and you're very right. You're very right. And Lloyd stinks too. So it's
okay. Well,
but just one fast story. Okay. Well, sorry. Was that the?
Yeah. No. I love.
Yeah. No. You are astute.
The layers of texture in film, and when we look back, 40 years, 50 years, it just gets something about that we get lost when things are so clean now.
Isn't
and
that interesting?
I don't love that. I'm a therapist, so I'm always looking for like, what's the ins and outs and why are we doing this and what's the product placement. You nailed it. When I was looking at like the Parquet squeeze bottle and I was like, oh, I can remember how that slid down the back of your throat and it kind of didn't smell like butter and you're like, should I be eating this? And the marshmallow fluff, like, and then the stepping in the shit. Like, I'm curious, was that real shit or was that just like something we made up?
That took my sister 4 days to do it exactly correctly.
She did a great job.
It was not real shit, but she
Okay.
worked on that.
Yeah.
I think she has a talent in making shit.
I could just feeling and smelling the layers of stuff.
Yeah,
It was
no,
just
isn't
fascinating.
that? That's interesting. That's just one fast story about what made the film successful. So I had a friend named Steve Fox who was one of the Good Morning America hosts. He was a very successful TV. He was on I don't know. He was on a bunch of things, and he saw this film. And Steve had a kind of a soft stomach and had a brain, and was flying back first class to L.A. where he lived after he'd just seen the film at night. And he was sitting in the first class seat. There was a guy next to him, and Steve was going, "Oh God, oh my God," and the guy next to him said, "What's up, Steve?" And Steve said, "I just saw the most violent, horrific, bloody, horrible film." And the guy perks up and says, "What?" It turns out he was a major foreign film distributor and bought our film for like $200,000. But I love that Steve was like complaining about what a horrible film. And the guy's name was Tom Gray, who works for, oh shoot, I forget the name of the company. It's a big, it's a huge Asian distributor. And Tom saw the film and loved it and thought it would be very commercial. And we were able to pay our investors back. And then eventually United Artists took on the film, United Arts Theaters. And yep. But you're right. It did. The whole set stunk. You're right. You were very, and I'd like to see you because I need a shrink. I think you're very perceptive.
Is there an Oedipus problem in that movie? We got a question from a young man over here.
Yes. First, thank you for coming out. It's a pleasure to see you. Quick two-parter. When I was a little kid was when Brave Star and the Real Ghostbusters were on the air, and I had lost my dad then too. So Brave Star was that was my thing when I was a kid. So I just wanted to thank you for that. And in the meantime, before the internet got big, some people didn't even think I was like it actually existed when I would describe it to them. I was like, no, it's real. And now that it's on disc, I can show them. So that's great.
Wow,
but
that's a great story. That's great to hear.
So the brothers in the movie remind me of a lot of people I actually kind of grew up around out in the middle of nowhere, northeastern Colorado. And so I was wondering, with them wrestling around and the great scene where the dude takes the dive and just goes rolling forever down the hill. How much of the chemistry between those two guys was any of that like from the actors themselves? Was that all from the script? Was that like a 50-50? And what were those dudes like?
That is an excellent question. I don't think we knew we wanted to have them playing it together, but we kind of let them define it to a large extent. And they got into it. They kind of, I don't know if I really had intended them to be quite like that, the physical with each other. But I think it began that way and that they played it off. We were very, very lucky with them. Sadly, I died, I don't know why, but many years ago. And Adley's still around, but not in great shape. But that is an interesting question. They developed to a large extent their relationship and how they wrestled and fooled around with each other. Yep.
Hi, I just honestly want to ask what your favorite film is. What's your favorite film?
What's yours?
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Wow, really?
Yes.
Why? That.
I honestly, I am not too certain, but I like the cheesiness of it. Literally, the fucking cheesiness of it. I don't.
And she's into clowns.
And I love clowns. Yes, clowns all days, all the days.
Wow, that's did you see that as a kid?
I actually did not. I watched it when I was older. When I was like 20s.
Huh.
I watched Killer Clowns.
Oh yeah.
What is yours though?
Well, I think the first horror film that I really liked was Tingler, which I thought was interesting.
Did you get to see
and
that
also
in the theater?
The Fly? What?
Did you get to see the Tingler in the theater?
Yeah. And I think the seat shook. It did something. I think there was
buzzed your butt.
Yeah. Yep. And The Fly too. I also thought was
Both Vincent Prices.
Yep. But my favorite films are I'm a Casablanca fan as well. I'm classics. They're all kinds of. Shane. Shane's a great film. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Come back, Shane. Shane. Yeah.
All right, we got one more back here.
Kind of a two-parter. So the first part, whose idea was it to do the crotch shot?
I think both the crotch and the Drano were me.
Yes, I like it.
Thank you. Yes.
And then, so the other question,
Warren was much too nice a guy. Yeah.
he took it very well. Not gonna lie,
He what? What?
he took it very well.
Thank you. Well, that was my hand with the act. The
Was
close
it
up.
really?
Yes.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
After all I've said about my philosophy of film, you're the most impressed with the fact that was my hand in the close up of the crotch.
Well, you
What
got
the
that
hell?
close to
What
a
kind of an
crotch, I'm
audience
impressed.
is okay. Yes.
So how did the whole, like, the premise behind the Mother's Day movie come about?
Wow. Okay. Thanks for asking that. It is based on when I went to college. I was friends with a couple other guys, and each year we would have a surprise reunion, exactly like the girls. And that one of us would plan. We wouldn't tell the others, and then we would each receive a telegram or a call or whatever saying, "Meet you at Kennedy Airport at 8." We wouldn't know where we were going. We'd blindfold each other. There'd be one guy planning, and so it was based on that. And then we decided that we wanted it to be women for a bunch of reasons, but mostly again because we wanted them to kind of win out. We wanted them to be the victors and be strong, and also the other reason was that it was shot in the summer, and all the films I had worked on in the past had been shot in the winter in like apartments in New York, where you had to turn the air conditioning off to shoot. And I thought, well, let's do something outdoors so that we can put everybody up at a abandoned YMCA camp, and we're out in the woods. We're out and there's air. There's it would be more humane. So that was the only. Those were the only, and that it had to be made for $100,000 and something that I thought would be commercial. Every film I've made has made money, and even my bread business has made money, according to my wife, despite me. But okay, that's it.
That was a great movie.
Thank you.
I know you have a lot of family members in your movies and working on your movies. Who was the worst family member you ever had on a film?
In terms of acting, or you got a wide swatch of people there to deal with.
Yeah, just to have around.
That is the best question I think I've ever gotten. That is great. My father was in every one of Lloyd and my films, and he kept wanting more in the films. He's the guy that goes, Grosse Pointe, I got Grosse Pointe, that kind of thing. My mother is in it too. My cousin is in it. Wow, who was the worst actor? Probably me.
Charles, it's Andy.
I didn't say. Oh my God!
I'm insulted that you didn't pick me.
I'm sorry. This is my cousin Andy, who took advantage of the lights, me not being able to see him. Did you want me to say you? Yeah, that was. Although you never really performed in the film. Yeah, no, you messed up a lot of art stuff. Yeah, no, you're still responsible. But wow, that's yeah. Who do you think was the worst? Plus you went to work under Susan. My sister was his boss.
Yeah, Susan was a slave driver. No, she's of the three of you, she's by far the best.
Oh, nice. This is very nice. This is not. Susan paid him to say that. But That's it.
Awesome.
Andy, that was the best question. It's unfair. The light was.
Yeah, we cheated.
Awesome. Well, I think on that, let's give Charles another round of applause here. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming out.
Thanks for asking me here, and thank you for being interested in a film that is as old as it is too. I'm flattered, totally flattered.
Thank you so much, and look forward to having some more of your cinnamon rolls at Bread and Sea in San Diego.
If you had any problem with any of the films or whatever, again, Andy's really responsible. Whatever you liked in the film was me. Whatever you didn't like, the violence, the axe in the crotch, all that I can now say was Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Alrighty, thank you everybody. That was legendary Charles Kaufman, director of Mother's Day at the Colorado Festival of Horror, exclusive screening of Mother's Day, and a really great time talking with Charles Kaufman. He handed out cookies, or not cookies, I forget, it was a little bit ago, but cookies or banana bread to the audience, and it was incredible. He's such a funny guy. If you're ever in San Diego, California, visit his bread shop, Bread and Sea. His baked goods are amazing. Lloyd smuggled in a cinnamon roll at the Comic-Con one year for all of us Tromites to fight over, and it was really good. And if you're in Colorado, go see anything at the Bug Theater. Support local and independently owned venues. Listen to locally run and independent shows on the Loudspeaker Network, such as Talkin Troma. You can follow me on the socials at Lego Larry on Twitter and Instagram, or the show at Talkin Troma. Yeah, until next time, everybody, stay traumatized.
Talkin Troma with Zach Bynes is hosted and produced by Zach Bynes, with assistance from Chris Lanfear and additional research by Chaz Kangas. The show is recorded at Loudspeaker Studios in Fort Collins, Colorado. Executive producers for Loudspeaker are Chris Lanfear and Charles Joseph Kelly, and our theme music is by J57 and Bald Halfwit. Talkin Troma is a listener-supported production of Loudspeaker Studios, a non-profit public radio service. To support the show, please consider making a donation at loudspeaker.org. Catch new episodes of the show Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, streaming at loudspeaker.org and the Loudspeaker mobile app. Past episodes of the show can be found at talkintroma.com, and you can find us on social media at Talkin Troma. You can also join our private Facebook group for behind-the-scenes stories and more from Troma's history at talkintroma.com/Facebook. Thanks for listening, and stay traumatized.
This has been a listener-supported production of Loudspeaker Studios. For more on this and other programs, visit loudspeaker.org.